So, welcome to another edition of our Dynamics 365 10-minute demos. And today we're going to be looking at the Dynamics Sales module, which is really the core CRM platform that Microsoft provides as part of the Dynamics stack. As with all of the Dynamics applications, it utilizes the same username and password as you do for Microsoft 365. It also means you've got mobile access. It's a cloud-based solution, which means you can access on the go on a mobile device or anywhere where you've got internet connection. And of course, it's also secure, and it utilizes the same security rules and profiles that you have as part of your Microsoft 365 suite. So let's dive into the sales module. And the sales module typically process starts with a lead record. And a lead, which is what you've got in front of you here, is really the first stage of the sales process. So it's where our sellers, or maybe even our marketeers, can start to profile our leads, can start to gather information such as who the contact is, what the competitors might be, who are the different stakeholders potentially as part of this deal. And we can get into doing things like, insights. Are they interacting with our website? Are they interacting with content that we're sharing? Potentially some lead scoring. And this is where we would start to track all that early stage sales information, such as where they came from, how warm that we think they might be. What you can see along the top here is the business process bar. This is a configurable area that many of our customers particularly like, because they can put their sales stages and sales steps into Dynamics, and that will support them. So in the qualify stage, this might be where you're asking your sellers or your SDRs to qualify and find out more information, such as when they're going to purchase, what the budget might be, what the process might be in terms of purchasing. So that might actually then feed into our scoring. That might be an internal qualification of whether we commit resource to try and bid for this. It's really the first stage of the sales process, moving into hopefully being able to qualify. One of the key areas of Dynamics is that we can see this timeline in the middle here. And the timeline is a really useful piece for a lot of our customers, where we can start to track all of the information and the communications that our people are having with this lead. Now in here you can see there's emails that have been sent, there could also be phone calls that are recorded, and also appointments and meetings. So the appointments and the meetings and the emails and the tasks are all natively synced with Outlook. So your team are already using Outlook, I'm sure, for their emails. You can utilize the native integration with Outlook to store copies of the emails, as you can see here. So you can see full transcripts, you can see who sent it, date and timestamp, and so on and so forth. So you've got that single view. And if we go into Outlook and see the difference here, you'd have the Copilot for Sales bolt-on or add-in, if you like, that sits alongside your emails. So there's some great pieces in here, like summarizing the information of the thread. So if you've got a really long thread like this, then Copilot will effectively summarize that for you, and it will present information back in the Copilot pane. You can also use Copilot to draft a response to these emails, or as you can see here, you can save the email to Microsoft Dynamics. So that will give you the possibility to store a copy of this email directly inside of the timeline, as we showed you. You can also utilize this for creating new records as well. So we could create a new contact, we could create a new lead record directly from Outlook. So if you've got a new inquiry that comes in, you can effectively start that dynamic sales and qualification process without leaving Outlook. So if we hop back into our lead, the idea would be that you want to get to a stage where you think this is worth us going after, and then we want to do what's called a qualify. And that means we move the lead record into an opportunity, and effectively that starts to build out our pipeline. So the opportunity is a slightly different record, slightly richer, gives us again that tailorable data profiling information, like when they're going to buy, or specific information that you would like to store. You can see the timeline continues, so we keep all of that previous data that we had, and that continues throughout the flow. You can also see the business process bar has continued to progress, so we're now in the close stage of this particular opportunity. But two of the really exciting features in here is we have opportunity scoring. So this can be driven from that initial qualification that we're doing, can be driven from the information that we're gathering through the sales process. So it gives us a great understanding of, out of 100, is this opportunity going to be good for us? The assistant will give us some reminders in terms of have we got tasks or is this opportunity closing soon? And also we can manage things like the relationship health. So when was the last interaction? When's the next interaction? So as we're getting an understanding of how engaged we are with this customer, we can see that directly from here as well. The other part is the sequences, which is a great way of building in particular steps of customer interaction that you might look to do to close the deal. So if you've got a well-trodden path, you've got a proven sales playbook or sales methodology, you can build those in as well with things like call scheduling, email templates, task creation, and so on and so forth. As we're building out our opportunity, we might also want to quote directly from the system. Now, not every customer does this, but you do have the ability to do so. You can manage your price lists directly from the system, and that means that you can have your products put into the product matrix inside of Dynamics, and you can then pick those products effectively and you can add those into your quotation. Now, we've got a couple of examples here. We've got a particular price list and a quote that we're looking to build. We can also manage quote revisions directly from here. So if the customer comes back and actually, they've said, well, actually, I'd like to buy a little bit more or a little bit less, then we can still keep those previous quote revisions so we can see how that changes. Once we're creating the quote, we've got our line items, we've got our pricing, we can control things like discounts, we can control other things as well at the top level, and we might look to then export that out into a nice document template, which I'm sure yours will look a lot nicer than ours in this demo. You can put your logo on there, you can put your terms and conditions and things like that. And we can either download that, we can save it directly into Dynamics, which effectively would be part of the document repository, or we can actually email that out directly from the system. So again, without leaving Dynamics, I've popped open our email area. This looks very similar to Outlook, I'm sure. We can even utilize things like email templates just to speed up the process. So those will give us tailored emails with, dear first name, or, this is what you'd like to buy. We can also use Copilot to make these better if we want to. But one of the best things is we can utilize what's called the email engagement. So that enables us to follow the email and see whether it's been opened, see whether our link has been clicked on or our PDF has been clicked on, or maybe forwarded to someone else, which is another stakeholder that we're not aware of. So really great for salespeople just to understand that engagement of whether people are really keen on what we're selling. We want to come back into our opportunity, and ideally we would like to win it. And win it means that it's a deal that we've closed, it's been through our approval processes, and then we're ready to deliver. So at that point, that's when you might typically hand over to perhaps your service delivery team, which we'll cover in a separate demo with customer service and project delivery and so on and so forth. But we're focusing on the sales piece there. So at the end of that sales process, you would have your account record, which is that core customer record, who works there, what's the history of all the opportunities and the deals that we might have had, and what's all the communications that have been had, and a little Copilot summary, save us scrolling down all of those things. So we've got that single view of the customer, everyone who works there, and all of the information that we need to. What we can also utilize is Copilot here. So again, Copilot is always trying to help us. I might be able to, might look to go into a meeting potentially and then pop out my Copilot and say, what should I be upselling to this account? It will go away, it will look at the data, and it will present back to me information. And I might say, that's the opportunity that I'd like to talk to them about. Let me click on that, let me dive in, and then let me gather some more information about that particular opportunity, ready for my meeting with my customer. And then we've got all of this data. So what do we do with it? How do we report on it? So again, we use our friend Copilot. We're going to ask it to show us our pipeline, and our pipeline will generate for us. It will give us this nice representation of bubbles. So the size of the bubble is how big is the deal. And on the left-hand side, you've got the probability. So that's our forecast categories in terms of how confident we are that we might win this. I'm going to pick the top one. I'd like it to summarize this because I'm a sales manager. I don't want to dive into the full records, but I'd like to get an understanding of who the opportunities are for, what the key info might be, what products that they might be buying, and potentially what competitor. I might then want to delve in a little bit further so I can use that natural language searching to see where my top 3 opportunities are across the business and ones that have a high probability of closing. So again, with one click, it's gone away and it's found that for me, and I can dive straight into that opportunity. I can see David, who's one of my sellers, is working on this. It's got good opportunity scoring. I can see the timeline, and on the right hand side, Copilot is giving me all that information that I would like. And then finally, to round off, a lot of our clients are using Power BI to really bring that data to life even more. So again, using more of the Microsoft stack, giving us great visuals and dashboards with things like sales performance, our win rates, some analysis of whether we've won, whether we've lost by particular industries, who are my top performing sellers. All of these reports are effectively ready for us to utilize. And if I want to look at the overall, I could say, look at my accounts, let's analyze these and show me my top 10 accounts, my accounts by industry, or potentially territory as well. So there's some fantastic opportunities from a reporting perspective to bring all of that sales data to life and ultimately give you better clarity to inspire your business moving forward, achieve more with Microsoft Dynamics. Thanks very much for listening. And if you'd like to learn more about Microsoft Dynamics for Sales, please get in touch with us today.